The ANC Gauteng provincial conference heats up today as delegates edge closer to voting in the new leadership. The party's deputy chairperson, Panyaza Lesufi, and provincial executive committee member, Lebogang Maile, go head-to-head for the province's position of chairperson. As leaders downplay the fierceness of the entire contest, delegates aren't shy of showing exactly who they're supporting. Reporter Pule Letwisi-Jones joins us now for more on this. Pule, I'm wondering if there are any further delays with regards to this conference actually kicking off and for credentials to be adopted. What is the situation where you are now?
Yeah, well, definitely there are still delays. Remember, yesterday we just took about 7 hours before we could get to the program of the day due to a litany of challenges that were ahead facing the provincial executive committee that they had to resolve. Today onwards, we haven't started, and you know, the adaptation of credentials is still something that's quite far on the agenda. But hopefully, we will get with the business of the day once everything has been resolved. Right now, I'm speaking to Dr. Bandile Masuku, who's also contesting for the provincial treasurer position, and he's going to be speaking to us about the conference as well. Doc, thank you very much for joining us on ENCA. Now, you know, quite a lot has happened, and yesterday, of course, was the tabling of the political report by the outgoing chairperson, Mr. David Makura, as well. Were you inspired by that report? And he spoke much about young people having to be vibrant as well.
Yeah, I think it was a very good political report. It gave a broad overview of the current context in which this conference is taking place, you know, even in terms of global and continental terms. And I think it was pretty much precise and accurate in even defining the challenges that the ANC is facing, which this conference seeks and it should be able to resolve.
I mean, he speaks about having to regain voters' confidence as well. We're looking at the brand of the ANC in Gauteng, and of course as well, you know, you're coming from a history of allegations that are linked to you in regards to being involved in PPE scandals as well. What have you learned from that, and what's your take on that in terms of the brand of the ANC in Gauteng and winning voters' confidence?
I think it's an important thing that we need to protect, you know, the brand itself. And it's so important that every time when we make allegations against individuals, we should be able to follow through, even in terms of proof and evidence. And in my case, the situation has been that the SIU has not found anything, which is something that I have been saying throughout, that there's nothing which is corrupt or criminal that I have done. The only thing that I could have been faulted for was not maybe to act on time, but acting, that was done, and even calling on investigation, that was done. But in terms of criminality or any corruption, the SIU report that was finally submitted to the president found me not guilty. And it's something that I've been saying and that I've been contending, and that's the reason that I even went to High Court to do that.
And of course, you're maintaining innocence, and that also is coupled with the issue of now what the provincial leadership is saying in terms of having to review the step-aside resolution and ensure that somehow it is amended and isn't used to target individuals in the organization. What's your make about that thought?
It's an important discussion that we're having, because we need to build the confidence and we need to make sure that part of our processes, they do deal with people that are alleged to be doing something criminal. But the issue is that we shouldn't subject people to such without particular evidence, which is something that we have seen in the past, that allegations are made and then they are not followed through. And it's only just to taint the image of the particular individual. And maybe that's the reason that we must take responsibility as the ANC when we for us to protect the brand, is that, yes, indeed, people who are alleged and there is evidence, then they need to be charged, and the law must take its course. And that's how people then can be then expelled from the ANC for such.
You're vying for the treasury position as well in the province. Are you healthy of this healthy contestation that we're currently witnessing here? Do you think you may emerge as well?
Ideally, it's not supposed to, because we are a wounded province, and that's the signs of disunity on their own. They are not very good, you know. But the issue is that we need to avail ourselves to make sure that we also provide the little experience and the little wisdom we have to try and build and reclaim in Gauteng going forward.
Pandile Masuku, thank you very much for joining us on ENCA. That's, of course, the incoming, rather what one may have called as well, to say he's contesting for the provincial treasurer position here in the Gauteng province. Dr. Pandile Masuku as well adding a bit of input on the issue of the step-aside resolution, saying that there's something the provincial leadership in Gauteng has to look into. Maybe perhaps, Heidi, I'm just trying to bring in someone from SANCO as well, the South African National Civic Organization, the chairperson, Abram Mashishi, in the city of Tshwane. Abram, thank you very much for joining us on ENCA. Now, of course, you also currently being a voting delegate participating in the conference. SANCO has had a mouthful of things, particularly around allegations of handlers at national level trying to influence this conference.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Pule, and thank you to the viewers. I think our mandate as SANCO is one. As you remember that we are dealing with the issue of a corrupt-free country. We want the leadership that are not corrupt, the leadership that does not have factions, the leadership that is going to take the plight of people of Gauteng into confidence. And this thing is very big. It's not something that we can look and take it easier, because it is going to haunt us come 2024. So this conference is do or die for us as SANCO in particular, because we know Gauteng, we are at the brink of catastrophe with one vote extra. So we cannot take chances about this thing.
Let's look at the track record. I mean, around in 2019, I spoke to you, and SANCO had a litany of challenges in regards to some of the special investigative unit reports that hadn't been implemented by the Gauteng Premier, David Makura, at the time. You were accusing him of actually hiding corruption in his office, and there was a call that you were saying that he should be investigated. He's currently the outgoing chairperson right now. Is this something you're still calling for? Do you believe that there's still corruption that hasn't been dealt with in the province as well?
As SANCO, we strongly believe that. You know, when if you are a leader of the society and you promise people ABC and you don't come back, it's so questionable. Because the Premier, he just get out of the office owing the people of Gauteng, the voters in particularly, many reports regarding as far as SIU is concerned. So we wish for the incoming leadership that is coming, because as SANCO, we are not going to rest until we deal with the perpetrators. Because the Premier might go, but leave his fingerprint or his footprint within the government. So it's something that we are always going to make noise about it, to say we want those reports, whether it's a 5-year report or whatever, it doesn't matter. Remember, yes.
You think he shouldn't be let off the hook?
No. Yeah. We still owe the people of Gauteng. Remember, the Premier is representing the ANC. So as SANCO, as United Force, we are still going to need those reports. Remember the issue of what just get out of my head, the issue that MEC Tsetani Mahlangu was involved in previously. It's an issue that was just swept under the carpet, but because of SANCO, we make sure that those people, those perpetrators for that incident, they need to be exposed, and that incident currently is still going. Remember, it's something that is something, the event that has happened 5 years back. So as SANCO, we don't have an area where you are going to say you want to make us to forget, and therefore you run with the matter.
I don't have much time. I have to throw back to my colleague in studio, but just the last one. There's also been allegations that you guys have made against the deputy chairperson in the ANC, of course, Nomantu. You're saying that she has had some sort of influence in this conference in terms of having to have a hand in tenders to get money from there and then support some of these branches. Your people have made those allegations against her. Is this something you're still living up to, or rather calling for, to say there must be accountability?
No. I don't agree. Maybe you missed the point. The thing is not Nomantu, it's Dr. MEC Mokgeti for health, if I'm correct. If no, it's Nomanto, it's a new thing that I hear. But as I'm saying, those were shenanigans from the parallel Sanko that were created by the provincial secretary of the ANC that must fight with the current Sanko that is led by Chris Malmacha in Gauteng. Remember, this politician, like in where the provincial secretary Kawe have taken a role in dividing this organization. It was on the basis that they don't want Sanko to be deployed in office. So once there is this opportunity for deployment, that's where they've created this parallel to make sure that when that opportunity comes for Sanko members, one will say, which Sanko must we talk about? Like today, in this conference, Sanko have never given any message of support. But we're saying we're going to fight tirelessly so, and we don't need the recognition of the ANC for us to exist. As Sanko, we are independent, whether ANC that is coming in office, the new PC, or the older PC is going to recognize us, we don't take a damn. Because these people, they are not honest. Each and everyone is looking for his stomach. So it's a political stomach in brief. So we don't care whether the incoming PC will say, no, we recognize this Sanko or we recognize that one. So our role and duties as a watchdog is to make sure that we deal with bread and butter, service delivery in the main. The poor of the entire Gauteng, we must fight for the plight of the people of Gauteng so that they can get out of poverty, jobless. Job must be created because corruption, it is in the kitty of our poor pairs people. Yes.
Thank you very much for that input there. That's the chairperson, of course, in Tshwane, Abramashishi, representing Sanko, making it clear that it seems as though there's a parallel structure within the organization disseminating a couple of messages which does not speak to their ethos as well. But as it is, Heidi, those are some of the allegations we'll be bringing up to the deputy chairperson of contesting, rather, for the deputy chairperson position, Ms. Nomanto, in just a short moment. But, you know, there seems to be a bit of stressful challenges that many are dealing with here and hopefully thinking that it should be resolved, such as well as the issue of corruption, which many have called for, to say it's the only way the ANC in Gauteng can survive if this problematic illness is addressed.
Okay, thank you so much for that update. That's our reporter, Paulile Twisi Jones, out in Benoni at the ANC Provincial Conference.